Hello all, and welcome to this night cider review. Haven't done a review in a while. I haven't even uploaded some of the ones I have been sitting on for a while. Uh, yeah, working through some things, I suppose. I guess, I think a lot of you probably who watch this regularly know my usual gripes. And yeah, I guess I'm still making content because I'm it's one of the few things I enjoy anymore. Making it, not so much uploading it, I guess. But this is what we are reviewing tonight. I do have some interesting things to review still. They'll get reviewed. Trust me. What are we reviewing tonight? We are reviewing um, Joker Ace Dry Apple Craft Cider. Where did I get this? I got it from the supermarket. Why did I get it from the supermarket? Because the supermarket sells this stuff pretty cheap. It's cheaper than the bottle stores. They carry a few things that aren't, found in the bottle shops. But it's mostly stuff that, you know, is widespread and I reviewed years ago, you know. No date on the bottom of the can, so just as a warning, this might have been sitting on the shelf for a while because they don't go and cycle their shelves very often. At that supermarket, I've picked things up and it's like the best, you know, the bottle date or something is like over a year old in some cases. So they didn't have the printing of the date on this one. So your mileage may vary. Now, I've never had this company before, but apparently it's pretty well known. I think from the looks of it, it's one of the few craft ciders that receive national distribution. Uh, and I do like the bottle art on this one. Take a look at it. It predates, I know this predates like the 2019 Joker movie by a good deal, but doesn't this Joker really, really look like Joaquin Phoenix's profile? It's really kind of eerie, when you think about it, because this predates it by like decades, but it really does look, the hair and like the facial structure and everything, it really does look like him quite a bit, doesn't it? Um, this is 6.9 ABV, and it's got quite a bit of verbiage on the back, so might as well start reading it now if I want to get this thing open before 5 minute point. Joker tasting notes. Joker was released in 2008 as America's original truly dry cider. Before drier styles could find their place in the US, our dad was busy building interest in cider, period. This usually required approachable, sweeter styles. As cider grew in popularity, it was time to show cider's diversity, fermenting to dryness with champagne yeast. Champagne yeast! Joker is named after our founder and father, Jeffrey, who has a dry sense of humor and readily appreciates a good joke while enjoying a cider. So, this company is called Ace Cider Makers, and I guess their father was the one who went and founded the company back in 1993. I can't recall ever having tried a dry cider. I've reviewed a few craft ciders made in Hawaii, and none of them were, I would say, particularly dry, but I'm not a cider head, so I can't really go and say that I have any real discernment of style when it comes to cider. That's basic. The only places where I really feel truly comfortable discussing, guessing style, doing blinds, that kind of stuff is beer, really. That's the thing I have the most experience in. Though I have to say that my love of absinthe and my love of port wines and Madeiras is almost to on par with my love of beers. But both of those are far, far more expensive than beer, so beer is what I mostly usually review. But like I said, tonight is going to be a cider review, and it's almost at the 5 minute point. So let's just go and crack this open, shall we? Hopefully the dryness means that it's preserved a bit better. Interesting that they said tasting notes as a title on that, but it didn't actually say anything about tasting notes, just that it's a drier cider. So, wow, that's pretty strong smelling. So, a pale yellow, very clear, very well carbonated, doesn't form a head, of course, because it's a cider. Notes of cut green apple, wine, sparkling white wine. A bit of minerality. All in all, not all in all, not too complex in the nose, but very pleasant smelling and very strong smelling as well. Onto the palate now. My, that's dry. Well, I wouldn't say it's bone dry. It's definitely the driest cider I've ever had. Up front, a very, very wine-like taste note. Followed by a sort of tart apple that develops in the mids and into the finish. You could probably trick me into believing that this is some sort of, light, sparkling white wine. And I would say, wow, it has a lot of apple-like notes to it. So that champagne yeast is really contributing to the taste, especially in the front. Cider notes show up more in the rear, particularly in the long finish. And there's a nice, crisp, tart acidity to it. Oddly enough, so the tastes are pretty big. Oddly enough, but it's not very complex. But it really feels like something that would go very, very well with food. What particular food? I'm not quite sure yet. I think something that's got higher fat content because of the high acidity. But it feels like something that would clear the palate excellently. As well as aid in digestion. And this is pretty acidic, I have to say. Like I said, not bone dry. There's a slight sweetness that shows up in the long finish. Top note is mostly of sparkling white wine. So yes, not much apple characteristics here. They are there. If you drank it, you know, I think that especially if you have more experience with ciders than I do, you would probably guess it as a dry cider. This being, I'm supposing my first real dry cider, I am kind of struck by it. The champagne yeast, like I said, contributes quite a good deal to the mouth. both the taste and mouthfeel, as well as elements of the nose as well. And it's really the nosing, the bouquet that kind of gives it away as a cider the most. Because that's where the sort of green apple scent is the strongest. Alcohol should be hitting me soon since I'm doing this on an empty stomach as per usual with my late night reviews. And pretty refreshing as well. Kind of interesting, because a 6.9 beer would not be refreshing. But something like this, 6.9 apple cider, dry apple cider, feels pretty refreshing. I think it's the dryness and the crispness of it. Excuse me. So all in all, yeah, I'm quite happy, This was a success. I believe this was about either $3.50 or $4 for this stovepipe can. I'm sure most of you mainland people are like boggled by the price, but that's not particularly expensive by Hawaii standards. And yeah, give this a shot if you find it. It's actually pretty good for something that's a grocery store tall boy. Well, sorry, stovepipe. Joker Ace Dry Apple Craft Cider. Give it a shot. And that, folks, is your cider review for this evening. Cheers.